I saw this article, nearly 70% of tested ServiceNow instances leaking data. So ServiceNow is a large SaaS platform, software as a service, but 70% of tested ServiceNow instances leaking data. That means they can be compromised. That's not good. That's not good at all. And what is the problem? Well, it says it right here underneath. The blame lies with customer misconfigurations, not flaws in the SaaS platform. So this quite honestly could be extended to all the cloud, well, not all the cloud offerings, but like the cloud infrastructure offerings. So you've got the Azures and the AWS and the Google Cloud, same problem, right? They give you the mechanism by which to set up your environment. It is your responsibility to make sure that you configure it properly. They're not responsible for that. It's shared responsibility. They provide the mechanism to do it, and they typically will give you best practices, and they'll typically give documentation of how to do that. And then even some of them will come in and do an analysis on purpose to help you with any vulnerabilities that might need to be plugged up and looked at. But you got to take those proactive steps. I think I wrote an article a year or so ago because I had been asked so many times, well, I use AWS, I don't have to worry about security. Oh my gosh, no, you do. AWS is not responsible for your security, just like ServiceNow is not responsible for your security. They should give you a platform and guidance that can be secure, but ultimately you make those decisions. And if you just to take access control, for example, who has access to the platform? If you don't manage that, and make sure that terminated people get their access turned off, guess what? They can log in with that. If you don't enforce password complexity, which a lot of these platforms, they don't make you do that. It's highly recommended. But you get to configure how you want to do that. So if you take the easier approach, well, guess what? Now you're compromised. It's not their fault. It's your responsibility in that case. And so this is really interesting because here it is. It's going to come out more and more, I promise, because there's so many of these cloud solutions, and it's so easy to sign up for a free AWS or pay a little bit of dollars, but I have no clue what I'm doing. And I have no clue about security. I'm not even thinking about that. You think the bad guys target the ServiceNows and the AWSs and the Azures? Of course they do. Hello. They know there is endless data in these platforms, and they're all cloud accessible, right? That's the very nature of them. So they're high targets, and they're looking for people who don't know what they're doing from a security standpoint. And they're leaving ports open, they're not managing their access, and a whole host of other things that people aren't doing that fits as part of your overall security program and your posture. And this is just proof of it right here. 70%. That's insane. And so misconfiguration, and then they're talking about there's the type of issue is in no way limited to ServiceNow, exactly what we were just talking about. We are seeing major data exposures across multiple SaaS platforms. That's exactly what I just said. SaaS applications don't get adequate security scrutiny. Here's the thing. I see this in companies all the time. It's called rogue IT, or which is a terrible name for it, or shadow IT. It's basically anybody in the business can sign up for a SaaS tool, and most of them are free. So what is to prevent random person over here from signing up on a platform, taking their little Excel CSV and uploading data, and IT doesn't even know about it, and security certainly doesn't know about it, and there's been no concept for any of the things in here. It happens all the time, I guarantee it. I know because every time we do a business impact analysis exercise with the company, that is always the feedback. Oh, I didn't even know some of these existed. Because we went and talked to the business people. We asked them the questions to try to understand your business continuity program and posture overall. And we found that, 10% of your applications you don't even know about from an IT standpoint or from a security standpoint, because you don't have to know about them, because guess what? The platform is being managed by another company. And so and so that's happening outside of IT, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Where the problem is what data is going out in that platform. What is it being used for? And if security is not involved in the configuration, that's a problem. I'll just start with the obvious one. We don't even need to get into technicalities of ports and firewalls and oh my and all that. Just look at access control, the user ID, the password, and what access they have in the platform. So you have a SaaS platform over here that's not being managed by security, or security has no visibility to it. How is that being set up? Well, guess what? Breaking through with someone's login and their password is the easiest way to breach. Just log in as them. And if those security roles have not been designed according to least privilege to make sure that people don't have too much access, and they're using password complexity, perhaps turning on MFA, if you can tie that back into your network, multi-factor authentication, to make sure that that's really the right person logging in. There's all these additional controls that might make sense to put around that platform, even though it's not being supported by IT, but to look at it from that security standpoint and to make sure that every person across the organization understands this is our policies and this is our process for vetting new tools. I don't care if you pay for them or not. That sometimes the free tools are the higher risk, right? And so if you can't put any company data in anything. And some companies kind of take the mindset of, okay, we're just going to block everything in the world. And I mean, I get it, but on the flip, it's a balance. At some point, you start to hinder people's job. You start to hinder their work processes. You start to hinder their innovation and creativity, because you're basically just cutting them off from the world because you're freaked out that they're going to do something they shouldn't do. There has to be a balance between letting people do their job, letting people work, letting people explore what's out there in the world, but to give them boundaries and accountability, that if you find something you want to use, that's fine. You can play around with dummy data, but once it gets to here, this is the process. This is the process to onboard that. Security is going to vet that tool. If we decide to move forward with it, we're going to help you set it up, and we're going to do a risk assessment on it, and we're going to make sure that that thing is secure, depending on obviously the data and whatever that's in there. But this is going, I guarantee you, we're going to see more and more articles like this of, oh my gosh, there was a breach at AWS. No, it probably won't be anything to do with AWS. It'll be to do with the platform and the environment that some company configured and didn't configure appropriately, and that's how it happened. Just like with this article, 70% of ServiceNow instances leaking data. So this all goes back to your cybersecurity program. It all goes back to how you identify and mitigate that risk, and those controls you put into place, some technical controls, some just administrative, of how new software comes into your environment and how those processes are evaluated, and what baseline security controls you have in place to make sure that you keep your environment and your people secure.